In this video, you are going to learn how to carry out your material estimate for staircase. Looking at this diagram. So first of all, we have to identify the elements. We have the footings, we have the steps, we have the waist, we have the landing, and so on. So let's quickly see how we can carry out our material estimates. That is calculating the volume of material that is required in the footing, the steps, the landing, the waist, and so on. So let's start with the footing. As I proceed, I will explain each of the diagram. Footing. So for footing, for us to get the volume of material for footing, we have to look at the diagram. This is the width, 900 mm, the thickness is 300 mm, and the length, it will span through what? The step. Let's look at this other one. It will span through this place, which is 1.5. So it has to be the length times the breadth times what? The thickness, which is what? Which is the length to be 1.5 times the breadth, which is 0.9, times the thickness, which is 0.3. So this calculation is for footing. Let's multiply out. Here we have 0.41 meter cube of concrete that will be required for this footing. Remember, in this calculation, I'm just doing this thing for a single flight. Let's proceed. That is for the footing. So let's simply go for the landing. Landing volume of material. The landing also is the length times breadth times thickness. So how do we get for the landing? This one will help us to get the material for the landing. This other diagram. The landing is 1.2 by 1.2. So which is 1.2 by 1.2. That is the length and the breadth times the thickness is this. This will help us get the thickness 0.15, which is equals to, let's point this out. We have 0.22 meter cube. I think the next one for us to do, let's consider the waist. Volume of material. For the waist. So the waist, we have to consider this horizontal length by this 1.5 by the thickness of the waist, which is 0.15. So how do we consider this horizontal length? This length. So we have to consider this shape. If we know this length, multiply it by 10, we have known that horizontal length. Remember, here is 0.15, here is 0.103. By Pythagoras, this length will simply be s squared, or let's say s is equals to the square root of 0.15 plus the square root of this. So let's proceed. So here we have the square root of 0.15 will give us 0.025 plus this will give us 0.09. So this is equals to, let's add this and take the square root. So we're having 0.335 meter. That is from here to here. So having known this, so for us to get the total length of the horizontal, the length across the slope, we have to say 0.335 times what? 10 steps. If you check the drawing, we have 10 steps in the drawing. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's proceed. So you multiply this by 10. We're going to have 3.35. So I've known the length. I haven't known the length. So for us to get the volume of material, for the waist, it has to be the length times the breadth times what? The thickness. So what is the length? The length is 3.35. The breadth, we use this to get the breadth. The breadth will be this from here to here, which is 1.5. 1.5. The thickness is 0.15. The thickness is this. The thickness is this, 0.15. So we'll have 0.15. So we'll multiply at so we're having 0.75 meter cube. This is for the waist. So the next thing that is remaining is for the step. So let's proceed here. So for the step, we have to consider one step, volume of material for one step. For one step, let's have the shape. So for us to get the volume of material here, we have to consider this area. This area times what? The length will give us the volume of material here. So what is this area? This area will become half, no, this is right angle triangle. Half, this is 0.3, this is 0.15. So it will become half 0.15 times this, which is the height, 0.3, multiplied by the length. So we have this. So we're calculating for the volume of one step. So let's say half 0.4545. Alright, so this multiplied by this will give us what? 0.0225 times the length is what? The length is 1.5. So we're having this multiplied by this will give us approximately 0.034 meter cube. So this is the volume for one step. For us to get the volume for 10 steps, it has to be multiplied by 10. So the volume becomes this multiplied by this to give us 0.34 meter cube. So